The GOAT to me is not longevity. It's what you were at your best versus them at their best. And what level of adversity you faced at the time you were being your best. LeBron James smoking DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, and the Toronto Raptors is not the same as Jordan overcoming the Bad Boy Pistons. LeBron James joining forces with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and Ray Allen and those boys in Miami is not the same as Michael Jordan going up against Magic.
Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Two names, one debate that refuses to die. Who truly is the greatest of all time? Here's the thing. We've been asking the wrong question for 20 years. We argue about championships, about finals records, about who scored more or who passed better. But the real question, the one that cuts deeper than any statistic, is this. Who had to fight harder to become a GOAT? Because greatness isn't just about what you achieve. It's not just about the trophies on the shelf or the records in the book. It's about what you survived to get there. It's about the obstacles that tried to break you and the weight that threatened to crush you before you ever had a chance to prove yourself. Like this video if you love LeBron, comment #JordanRules if you believe in Michael Jordan. Picture this. It's the 1980s and the NBA is a war zone. Not a league, a battlefield. The Bad Boy Pistons aren't just a team, they're an assassination squad. The Jordan rules, that's what they called it. A strategy designed with one purpose, break Michael Jordan. Physically, mentally, completely. Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, Rick Mahorn. These weren't basketball players, they were enforcers. Every drive to the basket was a collision. Every shot came with a forearm to the ribs. Every game was a test of will. They weren't trying to beat Jordan, they were trying to end him. And Jordan took it. All of it. Game after game, season after season, he walked into that violence knowing exactly what was waiting for him. Stephen A. Smith remembers it clearly.
Jordan had to travel. I think about what the 76ers were in the 80s, what Boston was in the 80s, what the Lakers were in the 80s. And although Michael Jordan didn't win a title, the road that he had to travel to ultimately ascend to the point that he got to once the 90s rolled around says a lot to me. I think that LeBron James, it's not his fault, but NBA rule changes had changed drastically from the Bad Boy Pistons to the New York Knicks with Anthony Mason and Charles Oakley and all of these guys and what have you. And so I just look at it from that perspective, and I think about what Michael Jordan had to endure because of the physicality of the game, the rules.
Think about what that means. Larry Bird's Celtics weren't just good, they were a dynasty that dominated an entire era. Magic's Lakers, the Showtime machine that defined basketball excellence. The 76ers with Moses Malone and Julius Erving, champions, all of them. These weren't just Hall of Famers Jordan had to face, these were dynasties, legends who owned eras, teams that had been built to win championships, not just games. Jordan had to walk through them, one by one, year after year, taking losses that would have broken most players. And nobody, I mean nobody, expected him to survive. According to Stephen A., the rules allowed defenders to maul you. Hand-checking meant you could get pushed, grabbed, held on every possession. There were no flagrant fouls to protect stars. You wanted to get to the rim, you paid for it in blood. This was Jordan's crucible. This was his trial by fire. Now let's fast forward to 2003. A kid from Akron, Ohio, steps onto an NBA court. Merely 17 years of age, and the world already knows his name. LeBron James, the chosen one. That's what Sports Illustrated called him before he played a single professional game, before he won a single championship, before he proved anything. The pressure? Unimaginable. But it goes deeper than that. Jordan entered the league as a prospect, a talented rookie who had to prove himself. But LeBron entered as a messiah, the savior of a struggling franchise, the supposed next Jordan, the future of basketball. Rich Paul, LeBron's longtime agent and friend, explained what made it so difficult.
They shied away from things like this. This is not the way the players are currently skilled. They're not only socially responsible, they're morally responsible, and they feel they have an obligation because of the position that they're in to say, okay, this is my community. That could have easily been my son, my brother, my friend, my cousin, or something of those magnitude. So I set that aside. I'm just looking at strictly basketball related.
Think about that for a second. See, Jordan had time. He could grow in the shadows, learn from his mistakes, fail against the Celtics and Pistons without the world calling him a bust. He could rise gradually, building his legend one playoff run at a time. But LeBron? He was born under a spotlight so bright it could have killed him. High school games broadcast on ESPN, magazine covers before his first NBA practice, endorsement deals worth more than most players made in their careers. And here's the cruelest part. They didn't just want him to be great. They wanted him to be Jordan, not his own version of greatness, not a new kind of legend. They wanted a carbon copy of a man who was already being called the greatest player who ever lived. It's 2001, Colorado Springs, USA Basketball Youth Development Festival. The Lakers were battling the 76ers in the finals. Kobe and Shaq were at their peak. AI was crossing over everyone in sight. And in a dorm room in Colorado, a group of 16-year-old kids were watching basketball history getting unfolded. JJ was there, LeBron was there. They've just finished a week of playing against each other, and these teenagers were going around the room talking about what they'll tell their friends when they get home. And that's when Sean Dockery, JJ's teammate who would later play at Duke, said something prophetic.
And I'm going to tell everyone, I just saw the best basketball player ever. And when you think about what he said, I've thought of this moment so many times in my life. We were 16 years old. We were 16 when Sean said that. And he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong.
At 16, people were already declaring him the greatest to ever play the game. But when you're already called the greatest before you've done anything, where do you go from there? Up? There is no up. The peak has already been claimed. You can only fall. Every win would be expected. Every loss would be failure. Every championship would be finally. And every defeat would be proof you were never that good in the first place.
Each generation of greatness raises the bar for the next generation. And so Michael's following in the footsteps of Kareem, of Wilt, of Bill Russell, of Larry, of Magic. And then Michael set the bar so high. And if anyone has come close to that bar, it's LeBron.
Michael Jordan set a bar so impossibly high that anyone who came after him was destined to fall short in the eyes of millions. Not because they weren't great, but because Jordan had become something beyond greatness. He'd become perfect, untouchable, a GOAT. And LeBron had to chase that ghost. Jordan's opponents tried to break his body. They hit him, fouled him, tried to physically destroy him. LeBron's critics tried to break his legacy before it even began. They compared every move to Jordan, every championship to Jordan's 6, every loss in the finals to Jordan's perfect record. One man had to survive violence, the other had to survive history. Which was harder? That's the question we can't answer, because we've never had to face either. Now, Shannon Sharpe had something to say that was impossible to ignore. According to Sharpe, LeBron in year 19 was not winding down, not struggling. He was still elite, still dominant, and still carrying teams. He was doing things no one has ever done at an age where most legends are long retired. Jordan played 15 seasons, retired at 35, came back at 38 for 2 years with the Wizards, but was clearly past his prime. But LeBron? He was 37, still averaging 30 points a game, still making all-NBA teams, still leading his team in nearly every statistical category. Shannon asked the question that nobody can answer.
At this level, did you ever think you see somebody in year 19, no matter how great they were, play at this level?
The answer is no. Nobody thought it was possible. Think about what he's battling at this point in his career. Father Time, the inevitable decline that comes for every athlete. The younger, faster, stronger players coming up behind him. The leagues that have studied his game for 2 decades and know every move he's going to make. And he's still one of the best players in the world. But Skip Bayless fires back with a counter-argument that's hard to ignore. Longevity isn't greatness. Karl Malone played forever, scored 36,000 points, no rings. Skip breaks it down.
LeBron had attempted 521 more shots than Karl did in his entire career. 520, that's a lot of shots.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong. LeBron has had more opportunities because he's played longer. More shots, more games, more seasons. Rings matter, Skip argues. Perfection matters. Jordan had 6-0 in the finals. He never lost when it mattered most. But LeBron, 4 and 6, 10 finals appearances, but only 4 wins. So who's right? Is greatness measured by peaks, the highest mountain you climbed, the perfection you achieved in the moment that mattered most? Or is greatness measured by marathons, the ability to stay at the top for longer than anyone thought possible? To evolve, adapt, and dominate across multiple eras? Is it about being perfect when everything is on the line? Or about lasting longer than anyone thought possible, defying age and gravity and time itself? The debate rages on, and maybe that's the point. Here's the truth, the uncomfortable, frustrating, maddening truth. There's no answer. Not one that satisfies everyone, not one that ends the debate. Because this debate was never really about basketball. It was never just about stats or rings or finals records. It's about identity, who you are, when you grew up, what you value, what you believe greatness looks like. You can't have Jordan at number 1 and LeBron at number 2 without people acting like you insulted LeBron. You can't have LeBron at number 1 without people acting like you disrespected Jordan's legacy. If you believe greatness is about dominance, about being perfect when everything is on the line, about never losing when the stakes are highest, about creating a mystique so powerful that generations later people still call you the standard, you pick Jordan. If you believe greatness is about endurance, about evolving your game across 2 decades, about adapting to different eras, about carrying teams to 10 finals appearances across different franchises, and proving you can win anywhere, you pick LeBron. And let's be fair, Jordan didn't have social media dissecting his every move, didn't have the 24/7 scrutiny of the internet age, didn't have to live up to Jordan, he got to become Jordan. But he also didn't have zone defenses protecting the rim, didn't have super teams to compete against in every round, didn't have the physicality rules changed to protect him. He had to earn every bucket through violence. LeBron didn't face the Bad Boy Pistons, didn't face hand-checking on every possession, didn't face the bruising, violent NBA of the 80s and 90s where a hard foul was just part of the game. But he also didn't get to grow in private, didn't get to fail without the world watching, didn't get to be human before becoming a god. He was declared the greatest before he played his first game and spent 20 years trying to live up to it.
You're an 84 like Jordan or an 88 like KD career,
Right.
well, then you would have passed Carl even long before that.
But Skip, first of all, God was not going to make Steph Curry 6'8", be able to shoot the 3 like he does, to be able to drive the basketball like Giannis and LeBron, and be able to post up like Embiid. How fair would that be? He didn't allow Jordan to shoot the 3 ball like he did Steph Curry.
And that's what we forget in all the arguing. Both of them are legends. Both of them faced obstacles that would have destroyed lesser players. Both of them became something beyond what anyone thought possible. So who had it harder? Maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the real question is, why do we need them to suffer to prove they're great? Why do we measure greatness by the weight of the burden instead of the height of the achievement? Both men carried mountains. Both men became GOATs. Maybe that's enough.